We started a podcast in September 21 and were voted ninth pan India by Spotify in 2022. We've just added another feather in the cap by being chosen as the top 10 global podcasting agencies in 2024. So it was obvious we had to have a very special guest to celebrate this. So today we have Shashi Kumar, founder and CEO of Akshayakalpa Organic. So, Shashi, welcome to the show. And we wanted to start with something very interesting. You've spent about 15 years in India and US working with tech companies. So, what led you to actually coming back to India and especially farming?
Thank you very much, first of all, inviting me for this podcast. It's a privilege. Thank you. See, there's no one such incident. We have been thinking for a while now. I coming from a farming background. Father not wanted his son to be a farmer. Okay, and because he wanted us to be an engineer, we became engineers. And fortunately, we are in the middle of a IT revolution, 90s, and we have seen the world. Okay, but back of the mind, it was always there. Parents struggled; they couldn't even give a good education to children. We had to stay in relatives' place, take up some job there, and go to school and study, etc. I think the motivation has always been that would it be possible to go back and the way farming is perceived, it has to be changed. So my father doesn't have a very positive opinion on farming. Now also, is it possible to change? That was on the back of mind. Around 20, 25 people in Wipro, we used to always get together and chit chat about it. What should we do? What not we should do? And can we go and change farming?
I've been there. When I was in Dubai, a bunch of us also used to sit and talk about doing something on our own. Incidentally, I'm the only one, if I'm not wrong, who's actually moved on. So, how about in your case? How many of you actually decided to leave?
Nine people. Okay, we left our jobs, all of them in one go. Okay, so in Wipro, and that was a fairly big news in Wipro at that point of time. We were allowed senior positions. 27 people seek Akshakalpa. So Akshakalpa is a crowd-funded initiative, and nobody believed what we wanted to do because people thought we are techies and they are sick of their work right now. In fact, it was not. We really enjoyed our work in technology space. That gave us a lot of confidence that we have been fairly successful in technology space. Can we go and look at farming differently? One area where we wanted to look at was data in the agri space. Right now, a lot of subjectivity in agriculture. Okay, so then we thought then the technology initiative is required and a farming initiative, soil management initiative is required. From a technology point of view, we co-founded a company called Stellabs. Stellabs is one of the biggest IoT company in the country right now. And we co-founded Akshayakalpa. I became part of Akshayakalpa because I had a agri background and other founders continued in Stellabs because they are coming from cities and they have done a very good work on technology. They continued there. That's exactly how it is.
That's phenomenal. I'm also ex Wipro, by the way. And in fact, the Wipro HR head has been on a show earlier. And I'm sure she would recognize you from this episode. But let's double down on Akshay Kalpa. What drove you to focus on the organic revenue?
See, to be honest, no, it is, we never thought we should do organic, okay? That was not the thought process. Thought process was not to do dairy. So thought process was what ailed my father. Why he didn't want his son to be a farmer. It's very simple. He saw no cash flows in farming. There's no regular monthly or a quarterly or a 6 months or a yearly cash flow. They were not guaranteed. So that's the reason he didn't want his son to be a farmer. So then we started approaching farmers and saying, hey, what is the biggest problem? We also came to know that cash flow is not regular. In the sense, this 3 months he got, next 1 year it is not there. Okay, a lot of hand borrowing he does. Son is sent for education, no money. Do a hand borrowing, borrow money at a higher interest rate. Then we started looking at what it is required to make it regular. Then we thought we should go and do soil management. That's exactly how Akshakalpa was founded. So soil management became fundamental to our thought process. And to do soil management, what is required, we started looking at. And that should also solve a cash flow problem for the farmer. Then we thought of a dairy. Dairy gives a regular cash flows to the farmer. Let's do one thing, build a dairy to a scale in which cash flow problems are removed from his mind. And then he will focus on soil management. But as long as he struggles with cash flows and he's not guaranteed there's no cash flows, there's no way that he's going to listen to us, let's go and do soil management. Okay, he'll be laughing at us. So this is exactly how the dairy was conceived. Then we thought from a food point of view, organic is a very good space. Farming no becomes repeatable. For example, what you did this month should be able to do next month also. That's exactly how we thought through.
You started in 2010, so what have been your major learning?
Answer this question no is a fairly difficult question. And these 27 people from Wipro, I'm one among them. We thought, okay, we'll go to farming and change farming. So that's what we call in Hindi called gaman. Oh, we are a techies, we can change it. But when we started going deeper and deeper, it's such a humbling experience that what we are thinking is not even okay doable. And there are more fundamental problems, more basic problems. We need to really focus on. Forget about changing farming. Let's start with simple things. Can you give him a regular income? Fundamental thing. Forget about changing farming. So that's the first realization of this experience, that what we set out to do, changing farming, it's not one lifetime's work. It is probably 200, 300, 500 years vision we should have, and we should able to put a organization and mechanism to take that vision forward. Second realization is, when we started 27 people, we had put our savings there. Initially, we put around 1.5 crores together, and every now and then we ran out of cash. So what to do? Some of them were still working. They were able to give 2 or 3 lakh. Oh, this month I don't have money to pay salaries, 1 lakh. So next month, oh, some equipment needs to be purchased, 1 more lakh. We struggled like this for 9 years. Till 2019, we struggled. Second biggest realization is cash is required to run any business. Thankfully, we didn't go and borrow. Okay, whatever we had, this is the only money we have. Let's work within our limitations. The third realization is, this is not a activity 10 people can do. Actually, it requires community participation. Farmers as a community, consumers as a community. We started realizing it. They need to be strengthened. So in the first 9 years, we couldn't even raise 1 rupee institutional money. Value realization happens once the consumer pays for it. So the value creation from the farm to value realization happen. We never understood initial stages. People willing to pay for what farmer is doing, that to a premium. That's what we started really. In first 9 years, we came 6 times close to bankruptcy. And I also should tell you one story. In 2010, in Redwood City, in Starbucks, me and Ravi Krishna Reddy, we were sitting and talking about Akshayakalpa, what we should do. We were chatting, having a coffee, and I was searching, trying to reach out to my pocket and say how much change I have. It's very difficult situation, okay? And one gentleman walked up and say, "Hey, we were talking in Kannada. Oh, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ. ಏನು ಅಕ್ಷಯಕಲ್ಪದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ. Can I come and join?" What he was saying, "Okay, can I come and join you guys for a coffee? You are talking about Akshayakalpa and some farming." Okay, and of course he paid for his coffee. Okay, and so we went back to Krishna Reddy's home. And morning he calls us 7 o'clock. Wake up. That gentleman's name was Ganesh Kadaba. We never knew him earlier, and he has sent an email. He wants to invest 25 lakhs. Can you believe it? So the realization was that if you explain the problem properly, they are willing to understand. Positive outlook is required. Ganesh, by the way, works in a senior position in NVIDIA in US. And recently we were exiting a Series C. I asked Ganesh, you want to take an exit? The 25 lakhs has grown around 12 crores now by value. And he told, no, I never invested to take that money out. And the work what you guys are doing is commendable. You asked me, this is the learning. Okay, that stay positive. There is a consumer ecosystem, there's a farmer ecosystem, there's an investor ecosystem. Everybody's interest needs to be looked into. It is not one or the other. Investor is looking for a return on investment doesn't mean he's wrong, but get a right investor. Set them a right expectations. Get the right investor. So this is a long answer to your short question.
You're also into farmer training where you've increased salaries from 20,000 rupees to a lakh a month. So tell us more about that.
We believe farmers are entrepreneurs. They need to be given okay a lot of hand holding. That's the work what we do. Okay, a lot of work which farmers can't do. A lot of services we give. Some of them are subsidized to a great extent. But I believe the farmers, some of the challenges they face, subsidization is still required. For example, I don't believe that in India we'll be able to sell any tech to farmers. So I am fundamental believer is organization should invest in, for example, we are an organization working with farmers, we should invest in tech, okay, and deliver it as a service to farmers. Farmers might still not pay money for that service. They don't see a value, okay, but it's very important we objectively look at what's happening in the farm. For example, simple things right now, 14 years we have tagged and tracking 14,000 cows. Amount of data it has come out in terms of what is happening in the farm. Okay, looking at cow's health, cows feeding, cows milking, calf rearing, veterinary issues, para-veterinary issues, breeding issues, growth issues, data which has come out is amazing. If you expect farmer to invest in that, not possible. For example, you worked in Wipro. Premji would never bother about a DG servicing, isn't it? What Premji would bother is how best we can give better facilities to our employees. Can the power be continuous? Somebody will come and okay, repair and maintain and run the generators to get the power. So like that, if you consider farmer as Premji as an entrepreneur, and there needs to be services okay, around that ecosystem to make a Premji's enterprise work. One of the best companies, at least I have known in my lifetime. And so to do that kind of a culture in farmers interventions is what we do to
It's interesting because I have a few friends also in startups, and even though they come from farming families, they are not looking to go back into it. In fact, they're making it a point specifically not to go back to it. So, what do you think needs to fundamentally change for the younger generations to take up farming?
you start thinking of esoteric things. Oh, farming is great. Farmer is annadata, all those things. They're all okay. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it is not going to cut ice with the new generation. So new generation needs to be shown that farming is an amazing choice if he goes there, and there is a great future there. And next 50 to 100 years, farming is one of the best occasion to be out there. So at an average, a people is right now paying 100,000 rupees a month okay, to a farmer, and their average land is 2 acres. And of course, they cultivate around 5 to 6 acres, some lease lands, etc. With that kind of an intervention, if that kind of money on hand, average age of a farmer is 35 years. Average age of an Indian right now is 28 years. So now that's the demographics what we are looking at. Farm should be lucrative. That kite has four dimensions. Okay, one dimension is economics, obvious. Second, technology. The third dimension is technology. Fourth dimension is diversity. The farming needs to be done focused on diversity and building and preserving the ecology. If we take care of these two, economics will come. Technology will tell you what is happening. Okay, most of the farms they are farmers. Diversify the farm. Farm should have two, three, four, five, six market-facing entities and soil, microbes, humans, animals, your trees, everything which is part of a ecology needs to be built upon. If you focus these two, okay, risk exposure of a farmer will come. So that's the reason the farm focused and output driven, it's not going to work.
Any specifics on your criteria for how you onboard such people?
To fundamental go back to our earlier question, can we demonstrate farming is viable? That's what we are trying to do. Go to a village, work with one farmer very deep. What that farmer would bring up to the table is influence within the community. For example, if he is living a better life, he is making a lot more money, he is looking after his parents better, sending children to better school. Everything contributes to the way the farming is perceived. You can ask me why my father wanted me to be an engineer while he is a farmer himself. Because he saw an engineer living better life, making better money, traveling abroad, and driving cars. Very similarly, he is trying to go to villages, pick up a guy, so that entire village will look up to him and say, "Hey, farming is viable." This is the first selection criteria. Go to a village. Can you pick a guy, the most entrepreneurial guy? He is doing decent farming and little bit struggling. Okay, and entire family is willing to participate in this initiative. And of course, his borrowing habits are clean. There could be some delays, all understood. This is the selection criteria. We don't take more than one farmer in a village. So right now, we works with 1,200 farmers in 1,200 villages spread across 6 districts. So each of the farmer in that village, they have become a role model for that entire community, how the farming to be done.
What are your thoughts on how important a role do consumers play in forcing accountability in brands?
Consumers have a huge role to play in to make any farming enterprise successful. In my opinion, consumers can be categorized into three layers. First layer is in maybe in Sanskrit or Hindi or Kannada, they are called Uttama. The topmost. How do you define Uttama, Madhyama, and Adama? Uttama is one consumer who grows his own food and eats his food. Madhyama consumer is a consumer who actually knows who grew that food, what cost it was grown, how it was grown, where it was grown, who grew it, what is his lifestyle, then has that food. Okay. And Adama is a black box. It doesn't care. It just consumes. Consumer's role is, can you grow your own food and eat? Don't meet a guy, spend some time with him. Understand where the food came from, how it was grown, what cost it was grown, what is the role of a brand. You should be able to say on your label what it is and be able to explain. Open up your operation to come and say, and what is this? What is happening? Once the consumer comes to know this entire dynamics of food, actually, he understands that it is extremely subsidized in the country. For example, when a farmer grows food, he doesn't count his labor as a cost. We, as a consumers, tend to say, this level of subsidization, will I get ever a good food? In my opinion, it is impossible. That is the reason the inputs are questionable. Sprays are questionable, your herbicides are questionable, your chemicals are questionable. So, therefore, saying that organic food is expensive, you should really question why my food is cheap. Second aspect, let me ask this question. Have you ever asked the question? Forget about organic. What is the food today I'm eating? Authentic it is. We don't. Organic ensures that the consumer food is chemical free, pesticide free, residue free. What really needs to change is we need to enable consumers to question their food. For example, Akshakalpa, last 1 year, 13,000 consumers of Akshakalpa have visited our farms. So that's the movement. And that's what is required to build the traction. And if you don't do that, consumer confidence on organic food will remain low. They will come back and say, hey, organic food is something which my children should have access to. This is where we should have access to. This is what the next generation should have access to.
You are now just not into dairy, but honey, poultry, etc. What do you see as your vision going forward?
So the way it is conceived is a farm. When you go to a farm intervention, and you remember I mentioned the kite. One of the fundamental part of the kite was diversification. So just not only dairy, every farm has got 5 beehives where they are as a pollinators, they produce honey. Every farm has a back-end boundary. The chicken poop actually becomes source of nitrogen for soil, while the eggs are actually as a protein requirement for the family farmer himself, and surplus they sell. See, right now we work with around 1,200 farmers. Maybe in next 5 years or so, probably we'll work with around 4,000 to 5,000 farmers. Go very deep into agri space, solve fundamental of soil management, diversify the farm to extreme amount of level, ecologically sound farm ecosystem we want to build. So that's exactly how I see Kalpa going into next 5 to 10 years time frame.
Thank you so much, Shashi. That was an absolutely fascinating chat and very informative. Really appreciate you having taken the time out.
Your time. Thank you.